AM 650 KGAB Radio. My name is Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. It's officially a Wednesday, and Wednesday means over the hump we go. My name is Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. Sitting in the studio with me, right across over there for watching those that are watching on Facebook right now, live stream, David Dodson. He is a candidate for U.S. Senate in the state of Wyoming. Welcome to Cheyenne. Are you from Cheyenne at all?
No.
No. Where are you from? Where do you live at?
Originally or now?
Oh, well, let's start with originally. We'll go with that.
Originally, I grew up about a half an hour from here.
Okay.
A little town called, the closest town to where I grew up was LaPorte.
Right.
Town of about 500, and my dad was in the sugar beet business. My mom was a school teacher, and it was all farming and ranching back there. It's changed a lot since then, but I haven't been in Colorado for 40 years or something.
Okay.
It was a great place to grow up, though, and my dad taught me to chew tobacco and shoot straight, and my mom loved horses, and so I loved my growing up.
Yeah, basically that's the Wyoming heritage right there, learning all of it.
It's fun. It's funny. The difference back. I mean, it's changed now, but back then the only difference between Wyoming and Colorado was on one side of the state line you could buy fireworks, and on the other side you could buy 3-2 beer. Yeah.
Now people are coming over here to Wyoming to buy their fireworks, which is it actually is kind of scary for Colorado, but we like that here. Okay, so you decided to do what for a living?
So my career was I went to college, and about then my dad's business failed, and so he had to auction off his business. So I worked my way through college, had jobs like working in a slaughterhouse in the afternoon, so I wasn't afraid of hard work, but I got interested in oil and gas. So my first real paycheck was Atlantic Richfield Company, and so I spent a couple years in the oil and gas business. Could not have picked a worse time to be in that business. Right. Everybody was going bankrupt, so I went back to school and got a business degree. My first degree was in economics, and then I decided I just wanted to be in business for myself.
Sure.
So I was in the auto parts. I had an auto parts company, and I had a trucking company, and I had a telecommunications company. And that's over about a 30-year period. We were in close to, I think it was 22 states, had the Teamsters working for me at one point in the IBW. So, it ended up being a nice business.
Okay. My guest is David Dodson. He's running for Senate. Why? Which means you're going up against Senator Barrasso. So why did you choose to run at this time?
Because I am not at all happy with what's going on, and I think my election with Senator Barrasso is really it's simple. It's if you are happy with how things are going, which is a Republican Party, my party, that has the House, the Senate, and the White House, that can't pass a health care plan, can't pass an immigration plan, can't pass an infrastructure plan. Passed a sloppy tax plan that was signed at 2 o'clock in the morning, of which none of the senators had a chance to read it, and it was written by lobbyists for people like me. And then we were promised that all of those tax cuts would be offset by spending cuts. And what did we do? We passed the second highest spending bill in U.S. history. Again, remarkably so, a bill that was not read by our senators. And it was passed at midnight, and why was it passed at midnight, and why was it passed? Why was it a bill that they didn't bother to read? Because they had vacation the next day. That's why I'm running.
I'm thinking they wouldn't have read it anyway. I'm just going out on a limb there. But even if they hadn't had vacation time, they probably wouldn't have read it.
Well, but I mean, look, the senators have massive staffs. People don't realize how huge the staffs are of senators. So, maybe every senator wouldn't have read every word of it, but you would have handed it to your staff and said, people that you trust, and say, I want you to read this section, I want you to read this section, I want you to read this section, and I want to really understand this bill before I sign it. Because we're talking about they're spending our money. Okay, and to be so cavalier about it and say, well, okay, I guess I'll sign it because I got vacation the next day. And by the way, they're now already talking about, I don't know if you caught it in the news today, they're already talking about having to bust through that spending bill.
Right.
And so we have $21 trillion in debt, which, by the way, does not take into consideration that our debt is likely to go up by over $1 trillion every year. So we're on our way to $35 trillion in debt, which is unthinkable. And that debt does not consider what we owe for Social Security and Medicare coming down the line.
Okay, I want to talk to you about what you do about that once you take Senator Barrasso's seat. But first, you've got to take the seat. And that's difficult because as soon as someone gets into one of those offices and been there for a few years, it's difficult to beat establishment. And let's face it, you're an unknown right now. So how do you beat them?
In this election?
Yes.
Well, the Casper Star-Tribune has me up by 11 points.
Okay.
And how do I get there? Wendy and I, when we decided to do this, and that was in February, in 40-degree below wind chill in Rock Springs when we launched this campaign, we've been knocking on doors and meeting people and doing exactly what I'm doing now. I mean, I'm on a radio program But Glenn, I'm really here talking to your listeners. And that's all I've done for 6.5 months is met people, shook their hands, heard their stories, understood what's going on, giving them a chance to look me in the eye and ask me questions. And then about a month or so ago, I came out with Dave's plan to put Wyoming first, where I have 35 pages where I wrote out exactly what I would do and why I would do it. And when I hand this to people and I say, you know, this election is not about who can get the most yard signs out. This election is about what I would do and when I would do it by. I have deadlines for myself in here. For example, in healthcare, I have 11 specific things that I would do. People look at it and go, finally, someone who wants this Senate seat is going there with a purpose.
Okay, specific, and you do have specifics in here, so I'm looking forward to flipping through the entire thing. But first, for those people who'd like to ask Mr. Dodson a question, 632-6500 is the phone number. More in just a moment.
Are you tired of paying high fees and commission even when you lose your money? How would you like to never lose your money again due to market risk? Join Al Martinez for the Retirement and Income Radio Show on Saturday morning at 6 a.m. on AM 650 KGAB. You can also call Al Martinez now for your free customized retirement and income kit and 115-page retirement and income book at 866-901-CALL. That's 866-901-2255.
Now at Menards, save big money on your next project with 11% off everything. Summer heat is hard on your vehicle's battery. Save on a reliable AC Delco battery. Right now, they're all on sale, plus 11% off. Get a 65A automotive battery for only $80.09 with exchange and 11% off. Get 11% off everything now at Menards. Good through July 21st. Savings are a mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Republican Mark Gordon's real-life experience has already made state government work better. As state treasurer, Mark Gordon cut costs, doing more with less. He increased Wyoming investment returns, and his office was recognized as the most transparent in America. And when government wasn't following the Constitution, Mark Gordon said, we're going to. Now we are. Mark Gordon has the courage to take action and the know-how to make government work better. Republican Mark Gordon for governor.
Paid for by Friends of Mark Gordon.
High Plains Steel Supply is a division of Puma Steel. Puma Steel has called Cheyenne home for 30 years. Their friendly staff is ready to meet all your steel needs. No minimum order required, and local Cheyenne delivery is always free to your shop or job site. Located outside of Cheyenne, ask if your order qualifies for free delivery. Give them a call at 307-773-8669 or visit their website at highplainssteel.com. High Plains Steel Supply is a division of Puma Steel located in Cheyenne, Wyoming.
It's AM 650 KGAB Radio. You can find us online, kgab.com. My name is Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. Mr. Dodson, I've been saying his name wrong. I keep saying Dodson. Sorry about that. Mr. Dodson's in front of me. He's running for Senator, well, I was about to say Senator Barrasso's seat. That's wrong. He's running for the Senate seat here in the state of Wyoming. Doesn't belong to anybody in particular.
Boy, I'm glad you said that because I've said over and over again, that Senate seat is our Senate seat.
It is, yep.
It's not a lifetime appointment.
This is Glenn. Who's on the phone?
Hey, Glenn, it's Sean. How are you?
Good, sir. What you got for us?
Good. Good morning, Mr. Dodson. Thanks for taking these calls.
Hey, John, I go by Dave, okay?
All right, Dave. I go by John. In one of your first television commercials, you talked about the tax cut, how bad it was, and then you mentioned the 1%, which put a chill down my spine. And that scared me more than anything because the 1% is Democrat speak for taxing the rich and giving to the poor. Now, I'm just a working class Joe, and the tax cuts did me good. So I want to know your opinion. Do you think that we're taxed too much in this country? And I'll listen off the air, Glenn. Thanks.
So there's 74,000 pages in that tax code. And I'm in the 1%. I've been lucky in life. So I'm only telling you that because it's relevant to what I'm saying. Those 74,000 pages were written not for the working class people that are working hard, following all the rules. They're written by donors and lobbyists. And those 74,000 pages take whatever the statutory tax code is and they drop it down. So I should be paying 39.5% taxes, okay? my tax rate, my actual tax rate is 22%, because I got 74,000 pages that no one in Congress reads that are written for guys like me, and it's not fair. So here's how I feel about that tax cut. It's not Democratic speak. It's just a matter of fairness. Okay, that tax cut should have gone to the middle class. It should not have gone to people who don't need it. And I will tell you this, John, when I talk to my friends who got the majority of that tax cut, we were like, what was that all about? I mean, the people who got the tax cut were thinking, we didn't really actually need a tax cut. We already have 74,000 pages that are helping us out. So I want a simplified tax code where you and everyone else in Wyoming can look at that tax code, and if you see someone walking down the street, you know exactly what they're paying. Their taxes are not hidden in 74,000 pages, and it's a fair tax cut.
Would you rather do something like, let's say, a flat tax, or have you heard about fair tax, or change the tax code altogether, just to uncomplicate the system?
Yeah, a flat tax, the math doesn't work. You would have to tax the middle class so high to balance the budget that it doesn't work. I mean, you have to have several tiers in there, but you don't have to have as many tiers as we have in this place. By the way, I during December I said, like what would be a free and fair tax code that would be transparent and fair to everybody along the way. And I wrote out what I thought would be a tax code. The numbers are pretty easy to access. And then I sent it to a bunch of my friends who were CFOs of large companies, one of them the largest automobile manufacturer. And I said, would something like this work? And they all came back and they said it would totally work. So those 74,000 pages are not to... By the way, Glenn, I don't think the tax code should be written to tell us whether we should have kids or not, whether we should rent or buy, whether we should go to college. It should just be a simple way that we raise revenue fairly from people so we can pay our bills. That's it.
Mr. Dodson is running for the Senate seat for U.S. Senate in the state of Wyoming. Back to the phones I go. This is Glenn, who's on with me.
Hello.
Hello, you're on the air.
Hey, Dave, you mentioned that you had several businesses, one of them being trucking. And if you were to be successful as a senator from this state, where would you be with respect to rolling back that electronic logging device mandate, which I know none of our farmers and ranchers and nobody in this state wants?
Oh, my God. I've gotten so many complaints about that. Now, in fairness, our trucks, we have about 600 of them or so, and my partner took over the business now. They were almost all straight trucks and, just used during the day. So that device didn't really affect our business much. We had a few tractor trailers, but, mostly they were straight trucks. But no, I mean, that's not working, especially in an agricultural environment. And that's one of the things, Glenn had mentioned that, where I grew up. If you grew up in an agriculture environment, you understand that life is different here, where things are spread out. I mean, if you're hauling livestock over long distances, something like that just doesn't work. So I am in favor of rolling it back. I want driving to be safe, as everybody does, but that was written by somebody who doesn't understand the trucking business.
Mr. Dodson is running for U.S. Senate here in the state of Wyoming. More of your questions, and I've got a few more in just a moment from now. You're listening to AM 650, KGAB Radio. Also find us KGAB.com.
It's summer swap and save time at Spratly Bar Motors in Cheyenne. Looking for a new ride? Then head to the new and used car and truck summer swap at Spratly Bar Motors. The time is right, so swap your old car or truck for a new or used vehicle. The summer selection is hot. If you want it, Spratly Bar in Cheyenne has got it. You drove it long enough, so swap it now. It's summer swap and save time at Spratly Bar, Ford, Lincoln, Toyota, Hyundai in Cheyenne, or at SpratlyBarCheyenne.com.
Living in southeast Wyoming can be tough on your house, but at ABC Seamless, we got you covered. ABC Seamless siding is made tough from galvanized steel. It was the first in the state. ABC's Energy Star certified replacement windows are going to keep you cool in the summer and toasty in the winter. You add ABC Seamless gutters, which are 30 to 50% larger and stronger than regular gutters, and ABC Seamless has got you covered for any kind of wild Wyoming weather. How can you beat that? Well, guess what? You add ABC Seamless lifetime warranties on wind, hail, even labor, along with a 35-year fade warranty on any of ABC's many colors and styles. You're not only covered, you're set. Locally owned, nationally known. Call 634-5700 and cover your home with ABC Seamless, the siding without the quacks.
Hathaway's Restaurant and Lounge at Little America, your Frontier Days hangout. Enjoy great food, music, and drinks daily. Kick it all off at the CFD Barbecue on Friday the 20th from 5 to 8. Happy hour specials daily in the lounge, and enjoy nightly live entertainment every evening from 8:30 to 12:30 a.m. You don't need to cook for your company. Dine outside with friends and family at Hathaway's Restaurant Patio, or bring your company for a lunch buffet featuring different themes daily. Hathaway Restaurant and Lounge at Little America.
Spend some time in the conservative underground with Sean Hannity. Weekdays at 1 and Sunday mornings at 8 on AM 650, KGAB, and KGAB.com.
7:52 is the time. It's AM 650, KGAB Radio. My name is Glenn Woods. Mr. Dodson is in the studio with me, who's running for the Senate seat here in the state of Wyoming. And if you have any questions for him, 632-6500 is the phone number, or if you're outside Wyoming, 888-503-6500, and I'm trying to call up over here one of the Facebook questions that you have. If you don't think a flat tax will bring enough in, how much do you think the government should be spending? In other words, how much should government be bringing in? What do you think?
Yeah, so right now, not to get too deep into the weeds, but our revenue is about 17% of GDP, and our spending is 22%. And that's a train wreck waiting to happen. I think the government should be spending somewhere in the mid to, somewhere between sort of 13 and 15% of GDP, and we need to spend what we bring in. We are only months away from our revenue, tax revenue, just being able to cover our interest expense. I mean, this is a train wreck waiting to happen that we're handing to our kids, and I don't know how the people who are doing this right now are sleeping at night knowing that in 17 years we're going to be telling our seniors, oops, we didn't have the courage to make the hard decisions, and we don't have money for your Social Security.
Okay, how do you deal then? Even Senator Enzi said he worked really hard to get on a budget committee so we can finally maybe balance the budget. And nothing that they recommend ever happens. He finally threw up his hands and says, why do we even have the committee? How do you deal with these people in D.C.?
Well, look, every Senate seat is a swing vote right now. I mean, there's 51 Republicans in the Senate. And so we just need some senators with some courage, honestly. I mean, where is the backbone, okay? And what happens in these spending bills is that no one is willing to take any political risk. And so what they're willing to do is they're willing to sacrifice the well-being of their kids and the next generation because they don't want to take any political risk. I'm not doing this because I want to spend the rest of my life in Washington, D.C. in a political career. I'm doing it because I'm scared to death about what we're doing to the generation behind us. And I'm not afraid to make those choices.
They do have, though, a system set up, both Democrats and Republicans. You want to get on the committee, you better raise some money for your party.
Yeah, well, in Dave Dodson's plan to put Wyoming first, I'm not going to do that. And I'll tell you what, the power used to be in the committees, and then the power used to be how much money you could raise. Now the power is your vote. And so Mitch McConnell, if he's the Senate Majority Leader next year, I will generally vote my Republican caucus, but he can't always count on my vote, and that gives me some power. But the other thing I'm going to do, Glenn, is when I get there, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go find a half a dozen like-minded Democrats that are patriots, and I'm going to make friends with them, which is the way it used to be done. And so when Mitch McConnell needs to get his 60 votes, and President Trump needs 60 votes to get something signed, and they turn around and they're looking at all the partisans who have no friends in the Democratic Party. They don't have lunch together. They don't dine together. They don't do anything together. And they come to Dodson and they go, Dave, can you scrounge up a half a dozen Democratic votes? I'm going to be the guy to say, yeah, because I actually got some friends over on the Democratic Party, and I can get you those votes.
We have 1 minute. So, caller, you better squeeze that question in. What you got?
What's wrong with a flat sales tax so everybody, even the drug cartels and the crooks and every sinner in the world, all has to pay a tax because they're all going to buy things?
Okay, quickly, your answer?
Yeah, so consumption tax or sales tax is something that works in a lot of different countries. And one of the problems that we have with our deficit is that we consume a lot more than we have we consume more than we have in income. So, it's a possibility.
Mr. Dodson, you have a website people can find you?
Yeah, Dodson for Senate. And please download Dave Dodson's plan to put Wyoming first. We printed another 50,000 copies this week. We're handing them out to everybody.
Okay, 50,000, that's a lot for the state of Wyoming. Of course, you're probably on Facebook, too. They can find you there.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for coming in. I do appreciate it. And for those people who didn't hear the entire interview, it is loaded up on Facebook, and we'll have it on YouTube and on KGAB.com. AM 650, KGAB Radio.